Beacon was founded in 1979 by my father-in-law. We manage and develop affordable housing for families and seniors. That's the bulk of our portfolio. We do commercial as well as market rate development. But the company was really founded on affordable housing. We have 32 properties throughout the country, from Connecticut to South Carolina. The bulk of them are in North Carolina, from Winston to Wilmington. And we have 3 in South Carolina and 1 in Connecticut. I think you came into my office.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, we something we talked a little bit, and I think you were just getting started when we first did it, and then as business moves on a day-to-day basis, there are only certain things that you have time for.
Sure.
One of which is negotiating contracts. I found myself negotiating more and more contracts for hauling, simply because they were coming up, or trying to save properties money and stuff like that. As we discussed, operating costs for an affordable community are extremely important. Extremely important to keep your eye on. Our margins are pretty thin, so anything we can do to help operations is always helpful. And taking something that I don't necessarily like to do, and working with someone who has more knowledge, a lot more knowledge than I do in the industry, has made things a lot easier for me in dealing with you in that regard. Not really. I knew there was ways to cut costs. I knew that we could cut costs, but without the intrinsic knowledge of the industry, I had no way to know.
Sure.
I mean, I could haggle with people with the best of them, but if I don't have the knowledge of the industry, it doesn't do me much good. So that's where I found the most value in working, not only a friendship, but also in working with someone who has knowledge in an industry that I had none in, as well as saving my company and my properties, more importantly, money. Yeah, I was haggling with haulers, and and they would say, well, this is what it is, and I didn't have any recourse or any other knowledge to go after them with. I found myself going from hauler to hauler to hauler, trying to find competitive pricing, but I wasn't getting any real traction in anywhere, simply because you call an 800 number, you don't really know who to contact. As I think as we mature in our professional careers, it comes to a point. It's what you know is very important, but who you know is also extremely important. So me calling the 800 number and you calling an actual rep that you know, much different outcomes. It wasn't difficult. We live a lot, especially as a developer. I mean, half of our time is spent doing due diligence to close deals. Obviously getting you the service agreements, getting you the contracts and stuff like that. It's not the most difficult thing to do in the entire world. There's a lot more arduous tasks that I have to do. So I found it actually fairly easy. Easy to send you the stuff, more difficult for me to find the stuff, actually, because we're trying to move to more of a digital electronic records management system here. So actually sending you those invoices, sending you those service contracts and stuff like that has helped me manage that process a little bit more, because we have to keep them electronically. So now just about every service agreement or contract that we've negotiated or renegotiated, I have electronically now. So the access is also there. It makes things a little bit easier. It goes actually even further than that. When you and I first talked, I was intrigued by your model, because there's a lot of services that will say, if you pay me X, I'll be able to find you this. Yours, I liked your model because you, as similar as a developer, you get what you kill. You eat what you kill. If you're able to save money, then you make some money and we save some money. So really, that was the biggest aspect of our meeting. The biggest aspect of why I wanted to do business with you was because I knew that if you didn't do your job effectively, you weren't going to get paid, and I didn't have to pay you. But if you did do your job effectively, you earned it. You made the agreed amount that we determined was going to be it, according to your agreement, and then we also saved. So I really like that, because I wasn't coming out of pocket right away for a hope of savings. What I found in working with you was I found the savings, and you made the money that you had said that we agreed upon. So it was a win-win in that regard, because I wasn't out of pocket. And again, liquidity as a developer is not the most isn't the thing that we have a lot of, and as well as a management firm, we also because we're a development firm as well, we have a lot of cash that goes out for our proposals and stuff like that. So me not having to put money up front for a hopeful savings on the back end made me rest a lot easier. It also made the pitch to my boss a lot easier to work with you too.
Perfect.
I think about 25-30%.
Okay. How easy was it for you to work with us?
10. Yeah. The hauling. My service users have always been my hauling charges. And the other thing too is like, for example, simple things like getting a new container, as we discussed earlier. My manager has probably called them 4 or 5 times. Now I'm turning it over to you. So
missed pickups.
Missed pickups is always, and getting new containers. Carolina Woods was a perfect example that we worked on a couple of years ago. When we first took over there, the haulers were dreadful. The containers were in terrible shape. We weren't getting very punctual removal. That has changed now. We've got new containers out there. I think we've got a different structure now than we have. So no, that's been very beneficial. But definitely, I think Carolina Woods was one of the. I mean, obviously we worked before that, but most of that was renegotiating contracts and service agreements. This one, where I really needed you to step in and reach out to the people that you know at the organization to try to get something done, especially since we had just taken over the management contract of it, was a huge help. No, because I don't want my competitors to be as good. No, of course, yes. Actually, I have recommended you, to be quite honest. A lot of my colleagues and my contemporaries are in similar positions that I am in. I wear a COO hat in that I also handle a lot with operations. I also wear a development hat, and I'm working on development of trying to organically grow the company, whether it be through acquisition, whether it be through new construction, whether it be through new property management opportunities. And I simply don't have time to negotiate our hauling contracts. Andrea, Tony, getting notifications that this is coming up, sure. Stuff like that is extremely helpful, because a lot of the service contracts automatically renew too. So if I'm not aware that they're coming up by the time of the deadline of when I can serve notification, that locks me in for another year too. And Lord knows I am not, as well as I should be maybe, in tune with when those contracts come up. So being able to rely on you and Tony and Andrea and everybody else has always made things a lot easier for me, a lot more comforting.